Welcome, Final Fantasy Randomizer fans, to round one of the Winter Tournament 2024. My name is Stephen Hawk. With me in the booth today is Dustbloom with our restreamer Oslotto. What do we see in Dustbloom with JShydell and Skarcerer's parties and the blurstings that go with?
Well, it looks like we have two parties that are sharing three party members, the Fighter Red Mage, and JShydell going with Black Mage, and Skarcerer going with White Mage. So the blessings that are going to matter today for Fighter, both of them taking one that has a Hurt Dragon and plus Legendary Sword, so it makes a lot of sense why you would go with a Fighter there. Thief gets to equip Axes, which could maybe be useful if you find a Light Axe, but Self Magic could be very useful as well for later in the game, which you get a ninja with some better weapons. The Red Mage, equip Shirt and plus 10 hit percent, so a good backup melee if you have need for it in an emergency. The White Mage gets Thief Swords and plus 2 level 1 MP, so that'll be very helpful if we got something good in level 1 magic for the White Mage. And for our Black Mage, they get Red Mage Armor and plus 10 Vitality, so they might not die so easily.
Yeah, you gotta love that extra vitality on what's gonna be your primary buffer if the black magic rolls well. And of course the white mage having that early level 1 magic charges can be pretty valuable depending on how the magic rolls yet again. I'm definitely be looking to see what they end up doing with their primary melee, because that legendary swords and Hurt Dragon can be pretty potent, but that thief with those few charges of self magic can get up with some fast, get some saber, be a bit better.
Seeing the early magic here is definitely going to see if one player might have a little bit of advantage over the other. If we see good harm spells early, perhaps, then that might mean a bit of an advantage for Skarcerer, having extra sweeper spells. But if we have an early nuke or fire ice lit 3, then that doesn't matter so much.
I can't help but mention that Oslotto, our restreamer today, restreamed my race the other day, and he did not do us any favors with magic. Hopefully these runners get something a little better to start with than Harm 2 at level 1.
Well, at least Harm 2 would be better than Quake and nothing else.
Fair enough, but it also would only be good for Skarcerer, because Harm 2, yeah, will do damage to the undead with any caster, but the White Mage we have the improved harm flag on, so that's actually a valid sweeper for everything.
If you got nothing else, it's not a bad thing to put on the Red Mage, considering that you've got Earth Cave and you've got Marsh Cave that have quite a bit of undead around. It's not ideal, but at least it gives you something for those packs.
Indeed, and it can come in a pinch against someone like Lich. But we're only about 10 seconds or so out. We should be seeing these runners get going. First run in the brackets for them. Let's see how things go. Oh, and the winner of this goes on to face Woobear, so that'll be interesting to see, yeah?
And that's only the number 1 seed in qualifiers, so, you know, nothing big on the line here.
JShydell, our first one in, gonna check the black magic, finds Zap, Fire, Confuse, and Slow. I'm gonna think Zap and maybe Fire. And, ooh, Life, that's nice to see, but Fog, Alit, and Arub, not so nice. Alit can be useful, though.
Not a lot of good spells in level 1. Zap is decent enough for low-level enemies, but you'd rather something that actually deals damage.
Weapons seem to roll up. That Saber, looks like some Iron Hammers being picked up by Skarcerer. Also getting a look at the armor, that also rolled right. That's Silver plus 6, and even that Copper plus 5 is really solid armor.
It's nice, it's just you need the money for it, and we definitely don't have that early on.
True. Well, JShydell in tow for first runner there, heading towards bottom left. Ooh, unrunnable Gurims. How nice is that?
It's certainly annoying, but you'd almost rather see them earlier in the game than later in the game.
Hey, a Great Axe plus 2. Solid weapon for that thief. And the bridge. That's access to Matoya's and Provoca. That's pretty huge early.
Gonna go ahead and give that Great Axe to the fighter, even though the thief can't equip it. What's the point of having the blessing?
Skarcerer still getting the armor sorted out, picking up a helm, a shield, and some chain for the thief, and then chain for the red mage before leaving Carnaria.
So that is now 2 unrunnables that we have found in Toph. Again, I feel like you'd rather have those unrunnable battles here than later in the game or in Topher. So, good to see those. JShydell first to get Garland down with Zap, and we'll get the crown from the king, and a nice chunk of money from the princess.
Normally she just gives you pennies out of her wallet, but that was a good chunk of the treasury. Definitely gonna help JShydell with the weapon selection, because the silver sword is pretty much the best thing he's gonna get there.
And hey, that lets you move the axe onto that thief.
I assume he's gonna pick up 3 copper rings for everything except for the red mage. Actually, never mind. The silver armor can be worn by all but the thief. That's kind of crazy with the Lursings.
Yep, Black Mage did get Red Mage armor. Red Mage can wear silver mail, so 3 of them get it.
I missed what Skarcerer found out of those top 2 chests in Dwarves. Ended up going there before going to fight Garland.
I got the bottle in one of them.
Well, that is a good thing to see. That's a check that they can get to once they get the floater and canoe. If they get the floater and canoe, no guarantees either will show up. And Sunflash Rune in chat mentioning some audio issues. We'll try and get that balanced out. Meanwhile, as Skarcerer loses the thief, gets through Garland, and JShydell on his way up to Matoya's, got some chunk of change from the princess, but definitely wants more gear, more items, and this is a good place to find them fast.
And it's the Skarcerer's side that improved fire helping out against Garland, doing 130 damage, not what you'd usually see, but enough here to take out Garland.
Interesting, Skarcerer actually took the fight with Garland before checking the boxes, and hey, that's a ship out of Matoya's, and a shard for good measure.
JShydell using one of our fun percent flags, changing the name of the shard to something random, in this case, prisms.
JShydell in the boat, probably going to Provoca. I mean, he's got money, he got access to level 2 magic, and whatever Bicky's got for him, and of course we could find a shop item. One thing to note, if one of the runners goes into a shop and you see one item listed twice, that means the shop item does not exist in the seed. It is the big tell. JShydell using liberal casts of Zap to time lock the pirate crew, as Skarcerer gets the crown and some money.
Actually missing with Zap on one of the pirates, but getting through well enough, and for his troubles, getting the canal, opening up access outside of the inner sea at the 430 mark.
That gives you a lot of options. Noticing houses are like 33,000 and 23,000 for pro rings, but they're +4. In a pinch, coming back to buy those could make a big difference in the late game. Ooh, we got Harm 2 there at level 2. That is a sweeper for Skarcerer's White Mage. Also Exit. But Warp there and Lock at level 2 for the Black Mage. Gonna pick up those for both the Red and Black Mage, I'd assume.
Yeah, you're finding quite a few good utility spells here. Exit, Warp, Lamp. With Improved Darkness, actually kind of useful in this flag set if you can't find Cure 4. Just still not really many damage spells. You have Fire and Harm 2 for Skarcerer, but you'd want more. Kind of have to hope Elfland has something.
Well, that's the nice thing about Elfland. You've got 2 shops for each, level 3 and 4. And their money might be dwindling at this point. I think JShydell has about 2,000 gold in him, but you can get some good magic for a cheap price depending on how things roll.
And also having level 2 Warp, that's going to make you feel better to go into Marsh, being able to not have to run out most of it, especially with a Red Mage and a Black Mage.
Indeed, if you can get a couple casts and just bounce out a Marsh from Marsh Bottom in 2 casts, you'll be good. seeing some unrunnable packs already. Ooh, there's your sweeper. Ice 3 at level 3.
That certainly could be worse. Nice to have that in one of the first 4 slots there. Getting it for, it's either the red mage or the black mage, but for one of them at least, had enough money for that, and feeling confident enough with that to go ahead and head to Marsh.
Skarcerer actually checking out the Provoker weapon shop just because he can. Looking for something better than what he picked up already. Meanwhile, JShydell has decided, well, the next target's Marsh. I understand. His only other options, I think, to go for would be early dive of Earth and checking what's in Crescent.
And with the crown, seeing what Astos has, but probably deciding to do that on the way back.
Very true. Hey, Astos could have the tail, and you could get very early promotion with access to the Outer Sea, the boat, and the dock in Cardia Isles.
I would say most of the time it's a good idea to promote as soon as you get that, unless you want to tie it in with something else, just because it's good to get casts on your characters that can get them when they promote, and better armor weapons. Always good to have that easy. As you see that JShydell finds the ruby in Marsh Top.
Definitely not going to reset out of Marsh Top with that item in hand, because that is 5 checks that have proven to be pretty valuable more often than not. Quickly saves back out and goes back in.
Funny talking about warping out of Marsh, and well, the red mage just has Exus, so that's even easier.
One cast to get down multiple floors, or up multiple floors, definitely worth it.
Meanwhile, Skarcerer taking care of the strawberry banana pirates from Becky. We'll be getting his canal.
Got to enjoy the many features of the randomizer with palette swaps.
Palette swaps definitely exist.
Skarcerer happy to pick up Warp now he's got some money after that Vicky fight. And the slab coming out for JShydell in Marsh.
Slab and Bottle do feel like they have a bit less importance in these flag sets, just because you might not always get an airship by the time you're ready to head to Topher and you have everything you need. But the option's there in case you're looking for something in-game.
Skarcerer out of Provoca, heading towards Elfland as JShydell gets away from some green ooze character thingies. Gets past, gonna take the fight with the wizard instead of run from it. Interesting.
Well, they were unrunnable, unfortunately.
That would explain it. Well, zapping the 4th dimension does a good job of getting rid of them. And level 5 across the board, not a bad thing to have.
A little bit of money there. In previous 2 chests for JShydell, found a Procate +6, which is going to be very nice for whoever can wear that right now. And also another shard.
I do believe he threw that on the red mage, because the red mage is by de facto his white caster. He wants to keep it safe.
Oh, yep, you have life, you have exit. You definitely want to keep them alive as long as possible. And there's another shard. That's our 3rd or 4th. JShydell is done with Marsh and will likely be heading to Astos now to see what our friendly Dark Elf King has for us.
Yep, Ruby to unlock 4 chests and a check with Sarda, and the slab to potentially get something for the Lithanians if you remember to translate before you go there. Now let's see what the king has to give. The Dark Elf King.
A ribbon.
Yep, and +1 just for good measure.
Skarcerer will be doing that first before going to Marsh. So both runners will be getting their ribbons here soon enough, as JShydell zaps Astos into the 4th dimension.
I do believe Zap has been the MVP of this race so far. Only 10 minutes in or so, but MVP.
Kind of a hard one to land on Astos there, getting it first turn. I think it's fair to say a bit lucky there.
Skarcerer getting the kill as JShydell is making his way out. Now, I can only assume JShydell and Skarcerer, once he's done with Marsh, is going to go pretty much straight to provoke check the Sarda check and Titans before going Earth. JShydell, though, I think has not been to Dwarfs yet, so he'll probably go there and get the bottle.
Yeah, that'll be JShydell's next stop, and then after that, both of them will be heading to Melmond, and we'll see what our friendly Titan has for us. Hope that there's a rod, either vanilla or French vanilla, and if not, well, you're just diving Earth until you find something.
I think JShydell is jumping up and down as much as his Red Mage there, because that was Cure 4 and Life 2 on the learnable spots in level 3 White Magic.
Definitely looking at that, and you're saying, I am so glad I didn't have to take a White Mage for those.
And there's Temper, level 4 Black Magic. I do believe that's learnable. And Quad X just for the insta-kill. We have the Quad X damage cap raised to like 600 or so. So it's more often effective than not against anything other than the bosses.
Quad X is sneakily good in these flag sets with 600 HP. That's one of those things where you can definitely knock off a fiend a lot quicker than you usually would, or a very hard-hitting enemy. And in the item shop, we saw a loot for sale for about 53, 54k. So we're gonna have to come back for that. That is necessary. Very expensive though.
Well, that's a pretty good place to find it because proximity-wise to Toph, that's a quick jaunt with the airship, or a run, or just a sail down and up the inner sea. So probably just not going to get that until the very end. Especially since the experience and gold amplification is based off of shards with this shard hunt instead of incentive items as it normally would have been.
One of those things where, since it's coming so much later, you just really have to hope you don't forget it.
But hey, everyone knows that finding the loot can just be that hold up. And yep, that was the bottle and a shard out of the 2 chests indoors.
Right, so that is our 4th one right there. And now JShydell will be our first to get to the Outer Sea. And unless he surprises everybody here by going to Crescent, we're going to see Melmond into Titans.
He went below the island. He could go further south, and no, he's going up. No. Gonna translate the slab with the linguist and be happy there. Hopefully he remembers it if it ever comes up.
If anything good in the armor shop here, no, not really.
Some extraordinarily expensive steel armor, but that's nothing compared to the silver armor they already got that rolled up quite well. Fast and Fire 3. That's solid magic. It's on level 5, so it's a page down, but for those spells, you want those.
Probably going to be waiting a while unless you find a ton of cash in Earth, which you might. There's a lot of chests there.
Ooh, an unrunnable spider arachnid pack. We haven't seen whether they're Danny adjacent, but they could well be. And the fact they're unrunnable, I can understand why JShydell reset out.
A delicious ruby given to the Titan.
Noticing Skarcerer's on the incentive chest location in Marsh and found 4 wizards instead of 2, having a much harder time of it.
Ah, there's our French vanilla rod.
Yeah, the Titan was hiding it instead of Sarda. Well, hopefully Sarda has something worth it. If not, easy reset back out to the cave entrance. JShydell using the trick of going out the backside and then coming back in to go down there so you can exit or warp out to the correct side of the cave.
I found more often than not, Sarda does not have much in these flags. I've seen a lot of gold or like silver gauntlet -1. He's there to waste your time this winter tournament.
The sad thing is, as much as that's true, you can't bank on it being nothing, because he was the key in my last race, and it was like, yeah, that's good to find.
Oh no, you always have to check it because it's there and it's 15-20 seconds, so you may as well do it, but it never feels good to go there and be like, hey, here's some pennies out of my pocket. Go and buy yourself some candy, youngins.
Interesting, JShydell doesn't have a house, so he had to run all the way back to save at the inn before going down into Earth. Meanwhile, Skarcerer back in Elfland picking up that level 2 amazing magic for white casting.
We'll see if JShydell here utilizes a few charges of warp to get easily in and out of Earth if he finds something good in the first floor.
Skarcerer spotting that chime as JShydell gonna check top first. Understandable. That's a Flame Shield +3. You're going to take that any day. That's immediately equipped to the Knight and totally equipable by the Thief post-promotion.
Yeah, that is 100% worth it. Deciding not to use warp casts and instead either walk it out or just go check the rest and go from there.
Given the fact that he doesn't have any houses, yeah, walking it out and using a cabin or a tent just for the save makes more sense. Understandably not having houses, because this hasn't been a poverty seed, but those houses are so dang expensive. And hey, a light axe +4, that is going immediately on JShydell's Thief. He doesn't have the white mage to give it to, so might as well swing it for effect.
Well, you know, there's a best case for your equip axe Thief. You actually get one of the best axes in the game and get to use it early.
And our first pack that is unrunnable in Earth is the Snakes. The R Snakes, because JShydell was running the alternate fiend or ultimate enemy names pack.
Utilizing 3 casts of Forth there to get rid of them.
Shard and plenty of money, and Skarcerer getting the rod. I can only imagine JShydell is going to save again and dive deep from here. He may be light on, yeah, he might be light on zap charges, but he probably doesn't want an all the way back to save at the hotel.
Yeah, at this point you're just really hoping to not have many unrunnable battles, just getting through as much of Earth as possible without too much trouble, saving what you can for Lich and Vampire, and not the unrunnable Harsnecks.
Fizzle in chat, you are not wrong. Warp and Exit are big value. I still say Harm 2 is an excellent spell to pick up, though it is a sweeper for the White Mage.
Yeah, with Warp and Exit being really the only things that worth of value in level 2, it was probably worth utilizing there to warp out, save, get the bottom things in the first floor, warp out again. 2 prisms in Earth 2. We're up to 7 now.
Skarcerer picking up that shield from Marsh 1 top as a Pro Cape comes out of Marsh 2 bottom along with 2 shards. That's our second Pro Cape +6. Pretty good defensive armor for those casters.
Skarcerer now not too far behind getting the treasures in Earth 1.
Some early divergence and different packs encountered making the difference, and whoop, Ice 3 doing a great job against those gargoyles.
And we have found unrunnable giants. Definitely not the combat you'd want to see if you are trying to preserve spell slots and, you know, not waste time.
Well, getting 100+ damage out of that light axe on that thief does a really good job of chunking through their health anyway, and it wasn't a pack with giants and something else, which makes a difference. And hey, there's the herb.
And another shard.
3 shards, a Pro Cape +6, and a herb. What a good floor in Earth 2.
Earth having quite a bit already.
Really taking advantage or getting to see the fact that the flag set has an item order, essentially, where it tries to prioritize where those loose items are to be somewhat linear. Not guaranteed to be where you're going to go next, but a higher probability. And yes, Fizzle, it seems like there's some patches of quicksand on the floor here. They just get stuck and have to fight their way out. Seeing that axe swing for 22 damage, you have to remember, yeah, it's a rolled up axe, but it still doesn't have great crit stats. Level 8, though, on this early is pretty solid levels for Earth Dive.
Now we go to the out of the way chest in Earth 3 to get Programming +4, actually. That's kind of useful.
That is a lot of money saved, because those were over 20,000 gold in the shop.
A little bit of money, always helpful.
And Skarcerer with the herb, and on his way down to the floor that JShydell is just a bit ahead on. Ooh, interesting. He's going to exit out, save, and he's going to burn off and go back in. He wants to get back on a different step count, it seems, and have his charges. Probably the charges more than anything. Hey, unrunnable snakes.
Just use that light axe. That is the one nice thing about having the white mage here is that you do have with that light axe.
It is harm 2 on a stick, and the white mage using it gets the bonus of the white mage harm all.
Unlimited charges. Ah, the key.
That is huge. That is the loot known to be in the store for 55,000, and the key in hand, still near the inner sea. With exit and or warp, you can check basically every locked chest in the game at this point, sort of TFC.
So here's a question for you. If you're in this position, another shard, the vampire was holding back in his chest there. If you're in this position, which key checks do you make?
It really depends on if we find the TNT. I would say everything short of marsh locked. Oh, there's the floater. Hey, I was just gonna ask our restreamer, where did you put the canoe this time?
So that was a pretty nice room there. You got a defense sword for ruse cats. You got a dragon armor for your knight when you promote. And the floater. Very good lich closet.
And both of those rolled up. Also using the warp trick, because he can save a few steps warping back to the loot or the rod plate and coming back down, then running it all the way back out. Gaze. That's annoying, but it's not what was occurring the other night, so the runners are happy there. But meanwhile, with the locked chest check, I would say Canaria locked. We definitely gonna see the... Oh, there's the crystal. That definitely incentivizes Canaria locked for proximity. But with the herb, they're gonna pick up Elflin locked. I'd assume we're gonna see Elflin locked, Northwest Castle, Canaria, possibly Toph, but for certain gonna see dwarves, even if they don't have the TNT. There's a lot of chests down there.
Yeah, that's my thinking, is that even if you don't have the TNT or the adamant to incentivize going back there, there's too many chests, and you're going to be in the area with having the crystal and the herb and having other locks to check, that it's worth it to stop by there.
Skarcerer dealing with some jerk birds. Meanwhile, JShydell on his way up to Lich's floor.
And a nice unrunnable pack of spider oozes.
Those oozes were very dangerous the other night, and we know the spiders unrunnable in the overworld, but looks like getting the priority, getting the kills, not going to have to deal with them.
Ice 3 doing the work that you need.
That is the value of the most powerful of the elemental spells.
JShydell just getting trolled a little bit right before Lich.
Looking like the arachnids that are runnable in here, not anything to worry about. So, first fight of the speed bump coming up.
Skarcerer having a rough time with those unrunnable wizards.
Interesting, JShydell moved the light axe off of the thief and gave it to the black mage to use, because it will be effective on Lich when cast with black mage. Still only 45 damage. That was not a high roll by any means. Getting 107 out of that red mage swinging that extra hit percent, doing a good bit.
Doesn't look like Lich has anything to worry about so far.
Rubes, I would definitely agree. Having that thief swinging the light axe would probably be more damage, but hey, that's the kill on the speed bump. Level 10 across the side for JShydell. He's up and out of Earth with an orblet as Skarcerer's taking on the speed bump.
Like we got ourselves a Mountain Dew vampire. Down it goes.
The temptation to say do the do in a vampire spooky voice was there, but I know I couldn't pull it off.
You just gotta go for it if you have the idea.
Classic Gamer, I do not know if he had them or not. I think even if he did, he was probably just going off the priority of what's most effective or what could crit.
And yeah, Fizz, JShydell used his last tent before going in to level 2 and beyond in Earth, so nothing to save with.
Yeah, coming out Earth flush with cash, 70,000+, picks up the fast cast for the Black Mage, gonna save and head out, and head back into the Inner Sea to get some very potentially valuable checks, both with the turn in for the Crystal and the Herb that could turn into the Tail, or a big sword to swing with that fighter who has legendary sword aptitude, and the checks for all the lock chests.
So which direction that he goes first, and it's looking like Crystal.
Reasonable, because you can just go south from here, get the Canaria Lock, possibly run up north to to Northwest Castle, so plenty of ways to route it. And hey, if he has the money when he goes back down to turn in the Herb and check the castle treasury down Elfland, he could pick up that loot. And there you go, Excal +1 immediately equipped, at 2822. We have a legendary sword of effect.
That is going to be immensely good on that night up until, honestly, Chaos. Even on Chaos, if you can get a fast cast in September's, that'll make up for the lack of crit.
I do believe Skarcerer chose to exit out instead of running up and fighting Lich, saving the time at the cost of 2 shards and maybe some levels, but I don't blame him, because 2 shards early, it can usually be skipped for less effect, and it saves him a good amount of running.
I'm not honestly a fan of this play. I feel like when you're that deep into Earth and you've gotten all of the other treasures, you want to go for Lich. You should have enough to take care of him, unless they have something terrible. But I feel like the 2 shards are worth it in that case.
Well, we just had a more or less vanilla TNT in Cardiolock. That is huge, because that means the check with dwarves comes with the turn-in and the lock chests in the dwarf armory. Even more incentive to finish everything off in the Inner Sea.
You may as well just go Elfland here, turn in the herb, and get the adamant, right?
Looks like he's going to go ahead and check out Toflocked. Meanwhile, Skarcerer going to give our first look at the herb turn-in. Opal +4. That is solid armor for any character.
And we will see what are in the locked chests here. Silver Axe and money. Silver Axe is definitely going to be better than the Iron Hammer.
Indeedly do. Skarcerer been running with those weapons he got out back in Corneria at the start of the game, more or less. Looks like he's going towards Northwest Castle. I highly doubt he'll go Marshlock. It's a deep dive for 2, and hey, that's a Coral and a Coral +2 and a Thor Hammer +1. Not horrible weapons. Not an Excal +1 by any means, but not horrible weapons.
You always like seeing spellcast items, just being able to have casts that aren't going to take any charges. Level 2 elemental magic is a pretty decent sweeper until later in the game.
Northwest Castle having nothing, Skarcerer having saved right outside of Elfland, just resets out and saves in the run, and probably going to pick up the loot. I assume, yeah, and or some save items, because those are much needed. expensive, but there's the money spent well and still has 5,900 to use for some magic maybe, or any other items. Opal Armor +3, definitely worth keeping. Come promotion, that gives you a Opal Armor equipped knight with an X-Gal.
Well, you did already pick up the dragon armor, so I think that's probably going to be better than the opal.
True, it really just comes down to which rolled higher, in my opinion. Ooh, cremate on the imps. Glad they didn't encounter that going up to Tophen early.
You say you're glad. I'm disappointed.
JShydell leaving Canaria as Skarcerer picks up the TNT out of the Canaria Castle. Sort of trading routes as he heads into Elfland.
Yeah, this will be more likely than not Elfland, into Northwest Castle, into
Dwarves, and then the Outer
Yes.
Sea awaits.
Saracen, you know what's up. I'm glad to see you here.
Now, they don't have access to any other dungeons at this point, which pretty much means either there's something in Dwarf Lock that gives us access, or the sages actually have the canoe. Or some other access app. If the sages have vanilla canoe, I will just be like, too easy.
That never happens. Yes, Marsh
that's
Locked.
a good point.
Can't forget about that. You want to forget about it, but that is 3 checks.
Chime and Marsh locked. Yeah, I could see that happening. Skarcerer picking up the Opal, heading up to pick up the Thorhammer, I believe it was, up there. As JShydell is going to go find out that there's basically nothing in Northwest Castle of note.
So what we're looking for here is Chime in Marsh Locked, into Oxyale, in Mirage Tower, into Canoe in Sea, into something else in Sky.
I mean, don't give them a canoe. You're going to give them the cube in C.
Cube.
And then CC's Gambit is going to have the canoe again, just like last night. And it's like, okay. JShydell finding the money, resetting out, also having saved and not saved on his way up to Northwest Castle, is indeed Fading Marsh, going to Dwarves. Skarcerer, meanwhile, taking the walking route, having parked his boat at the top, is just going to run straight to Dwarves from where he's at.
It's a race to the Dwarf Cave.
JShydell wins the race.
But instantly disqualified for once again not saying hello to the Ray Dwarf. Oh, they're both disqualified.
And with Exit and Warp, they're not even going to talk to him. Hey, Power Bonk +2, that is a very nice item to find. It's armor and effect.
Well, still waiting for it. It's gotta be here, right? Oh, wow.
Sages or Marsh Locked?
Ooh, where do you go?
I can imagine going to Sages, because they really don't want to deal with Marsh Locked. That said, they do have Warp and Exit. They could get down and get out reasonably quickly.
Yeah, I might exit.
Going Marsh.
Yeah, I'd probably exit on the other side, though. I would exit to the Outer Sea, go down and around, and park in the south dock of Elfland to Marsh, and then if it's not there, I can go back around to Crescent.
Well, Skarcerer taking the Crescent route, so we have our divergence. Will this pay off for JShydell, or will Skarcerer suddenly find a vanilla canoe and be in the air plenty of minutes ahead of his opponent?
Well, I mean, whoever's right here is going to have a pretty solid advantage.
Don't like that palette for the EX speeds, honestly.
I don't know.
They seem much
like
less appetizing.
I like ice peeds. Skarcerer just getting some battles off of the counter there.
Definitely no hero run seen early this time. Just having to manipulate that encounter. Very painful on the pocketbook if you don't find some cheap tents, though. Not even
Pressure.
bothering to check magic, going straight to the Sage.
Oh, one thing in mind. Please let this be the canoe, is what he's thinking. Nope.
JShydell wins the pick. It is marsh locked for progression.
Skarcerer might not even remember that Marshlock is an option.
And back to dwarves for that turn in, but that's not progression, that's just another potential item, hopefully the tail.
I mean, it could be the canoe.
Well, unfortunately the canoe cannot come off the app. The canoe is a loose item, so it is not incentivized for turn-ins.
Oh, fair. That's right. That
it
is
could
correct.
be the Vorpal or the Roost Stick. Ale marking going for Oxyale. How appropriate. Skarcerer finding some... Hey, a second ribbon. That's huge to find early as well. So this redive into Marshlock is definitely paying off. You're going to get your progression, a ribbon, and a turn-in check.
And now the moment of truth. Progression or a broken seed.
We can never want it, but it could randomly happen. And it's the chime! They're going to Mirage Tower.
Couldn't be that easy, could it?
Well, that exit paying off big time. JShydell on his way out as Skarcerer checking the turn-in with the crystal, having not done that, getting his X-Cal, going to be very happy with that, but still going to have to go down to Marsh. Skarcerer definitely has some trouble trying to figure out how he's going to handle resetting out of encounters just to get through this encounter table. Having it very front-loaded can be nice, could be not so nice. Interesting, he is going to Provoca.
I do legitimately think that after checking Sages and seeing the way that he was sitting in the inventory and looking at his map, he has forgotten about Marshlock, at least temporarily.
Double checking that he didn't not talk to Bicky, which he did. And now most definitely aware that Marshlock is a Nisco. There he is. 2 shards behind just by not fighting Lich, and a little bit behind on navigation. Meanwhile, JShydell checking for a Vorpal +2. Very nice crit stick, but no promotion yet, so no way to use it. And not going to use that, or as opposed to the X-Cal, at least until you get to Chaos.
That'll be fine enough for the ninja once you find the tail, unless you find a katana, and then you can just put the Vorpal on the Red Wizard.
And JShydell, our first runner outside the Inner Sea, with no plans to going back to the Inner Sea until he very much has to at the end of the game. He still needs to purchase his loot, but that is an easy stop at Elfland for him. As Skarcerer makes it to Marsh and begins the dive. Now we've got the call for the Oxyale to be in Mirage. I'm personally thinking for diversion and making it a little more interesting, we get a float, or we get the canoe in Mirage, and then we see them deal with Volcano and the ice.
Well, we got 1 vote for canoe, we got 1 vote for Oxyale, so I'm going to say the cube's in Mirage.
Just straight into Sky early pre-promotion. Sounds good. JShydell taking an unnecessary or unfortunate loss of a thief due to some Aranculios as he got off the docks, but has made it through with that life cast, up and in, gonna get these... Ooh! I see a check mark on that left chest. That's a mighty war mech, and a Masa behind it. I could see our runners coming back here late if they need it. And hey, that's
Oh, it's the
Oxyale, floor
Oxyale.
1.
That's disappointing, but predictable.
Now, I don't see any of our runners facing that war mech now, but I do respect going up to greater than less than to check these 10 chests. They're close, and they could be valuable. It could even be a cube.
Always wanted a cube.
I mean, if this turns out to be a rollback of the sea into cube, into sky, into canoe, that'd be fun. I'd be fine with it. Meanwhile, Skarcerer finishing up the checks, gonna get that chime so he can get out of the inner sea and be happy with the gear he has to start with. So far, a shard, some house, and some money. Hey, another pro ring. That's another 2,500 gold, not needing to be spent for anti-death.
Yeah, you know, not a lot, but a shard and another pro ring is better than nothing.
And an ice sword, which unfortunately is pretty well used. Oh, wait a second. The red mage. He has a red mage that can swing that ice sword for good effect with the plus hit percentage.
Good enough for now until you find your tail. If you find your tail.
Could even find a white or black shirt to throw on that red mage too, so it has both Invis cast or Ice 2 cast and protections. On to the on-rack continent. As Skarcerer out of Elfland burns off some encounters and heads back into the sea.
Now, do you go mermaids or do you go kraken first?
Given the situation with the levels I would probably go mermaids first because you have exit, so you can exit right back out. Without exit and potentially looking at just taking the fight, going TF or Kraken first would work.
I think that is a more than fair way to look at it. It's definitely safer that way. You're only level 13 or 14, if that.
He is currently level 11 across the board and checks the black magic and finds Nuke is at level 7. Ain't gonna see that anytime soon. If at all. That extra 10% vitality on that black mage makes it a little higher, but it's still pretty weak compared to what you want for survivability in a place like C, where you've got a lot of really high number encounters. Not just high numbers of encounters, high numbers of enemies in those encounters.
Looking at you with Sahag, red Sahag pack.
We very much appreciate the developers who broke the unrunnable factor of that, being the B side of the pirates. It normally would be unrunnable in the vanilla game.
About that.
Oh, fun. They stun you. Or hold you tight.
It's almost as if you spoke into existence.
At least they can recast the same spell on the already affected opponent or character. Going with swing, going with weight, gonna get the kill, and gonna take a look at what's in TFC. Meanwhile, Skarcerer just about to make it to the dock. TFC having a house. I believe TFC North had a cabin, so there's a theme there.
Just need a tent to complete the set. Aw, money. I wanted a tent.
Well, I know there's one thing you want on the next floor.
Is it my cube?
No. It's something that you would put a cube of ice in, potentially.
A cup.
Carbonated water.
Oh, good point.
So far, nothing crazy. Getting that shard nonetheless checked. Going on to the mermaid's floor. Let's see if we get something good out of here. And hey, maybe Skarcerer's crazy and actually tries to take on that fight with Warmech for the Massa. Or if he has a full inventory of weapons, he can even check it without seeing what's actually, or seeing the fight. That's a Zeus bonk. -1, still a cast of a sweeper for free.
Now have 2 different sources of lit 2, which, you know, being in the Sea Shrine isn't the worst thing to have.
Just remember, it's not the best on the waters if you have the black shirt.
Sarah said I didn't forget that bubbles existed. It was comedic effect, okay? I would never forget.
Canoe, it was sunken in mermaids. That is access to the sky. JShydell will be quite happy. I could imagine he's probably not even going to dive Kraken. He might just run out from here and get in the air and come back later if he needs the shards or items. Yep, he is exiting out, saving, and leaving for the Ryukon. Oh.
No, he's gonna go ahead and do Kraken side. Meanwhile, Skarcerer trying to enjoy a delicious Tyro steak on his way out of Mirage.
Wants to get some levels, doesn't want to get all the levels, but definitely wants to get some levels.
And I
said usually you'd want to get to level 15 at most before promotion, if promotion is on the table. It could always not be, though.
And I do think this is the right play by JShydell here. I feel, given the levels of the party, what you're able to get out of the enemies here in Sea Shrine, and it's 4 shards for sure, more than likely at least a couple more in the chests that are to come. It's going to be good value, and you're only going to need a few more, which you can find in the entirety of Volcano, Ice, get 2 from Carry.
And plus you could still find the cube down here.
Also true.
Cube, which represents our last loose item at this point. And Skarcerer is continuing his tirade against the Tyros in the desert.
Quad X.
Interesting, he's got his red mage poisoned. Is he? Yep, he's gonna pure it. I was thinking he might try and Dan it and focus some levels on his melees, but that would make less sense in a 4-man party. Opal Shield +5. That is the pretty much best shield you can equip post-promotion. That lets him move that fire armor, or fire shield +3 onto the ninja.
The only one better would be the Aegis Shield, if you find that. All with a white shirt, and you get to equip that on the red mage. That's very nice.
And it rolled up even more. This gear has been pretty much up across the board. Very few things have rolled down.
And yes, Dark Moon. Loot is a shop item in Elfland for about 54k, so Skarcerer decided to go ahead and plunk that down, while JShydell has not yet.
Both of the runners know it's there. They were just povertied and chose their routing. Skarcerer taking the same route, going right side first, going to be happy to find the canoe. Meanwhile, JShydell, the only 5 chests left on this floor, and then the question is, face Kraken or not? At this point, I think you're right. He's probably going to face Kraken.
Yeah, especially with a an X-Cal fighter, you feel decent enough about your chances. White shirt will give you some evade if you need it. Bane Sword is certainly going to help if you could just go ahead and put that on somebody and say, hey, go ahead and throw those out.
Yeah, and we already have fast and a power bonk, so worst case, ooh, and another pro cape. I mean, that's not really needed, but hey, take it anyways. It's a universally equipable rolled up shield.
And Fizzle, as you hopefully saw there, that is 19 shards for JShydell. This will be 23 with Kraken, so just 5 more for cleanup, assuming nothing terrible happens.
No cube found, so that's somewhere else. Probably... Well, honestly, they've got 5 checks they can make at the waterfall if they wanted to route that way, but I highly doubt our runners are going to be going waterfall.
Well, with exit and warp, might not be the worst idea.
Well, I was already wrong about JShydell coming back in to fight that left side, so I'll go with you on that one. And yep, he is going after the Kraken. Skarcerer on his way to get the canoe out of the mermaid's floor as JShydell heals up. Will he rearrange his party at all, or is he going to keep that thief in the front? He is keeping the thief in the front. Going with swing. Oh, no fast cast. Unfortunate. Oh, there you go. The Black Mage had 2 fast casts available. Comes out after the swing, and Dark only gets on that Thief. The Thief not being able to swing accurately is annoying, but that Fighter with the Excal is the one that you really want to get the swings in on anyways.
Unfortunately, just 1 hit, 108 damage without the fast, so you're hoping for a lot better the second swing.
Fast on the Dark and Thief. Oh, 419. That's a lot better. And Quad X coming out not effective.
Still more than 600 left, but you want to probably just keep throwing those out and hope the next swing brings them down below 6.
151 was not enough to do so. Sleep coming out, not getting up, gets the Black Mage, but it comes right back up.
Oh, that Quad X isn't going to do it.
And the Black Mage ain't going to do anything. But 500 hits, I'm fairly certain it should be Quad X-able now.
But we don't have any
charges
charges
left.
left.
No charges. How fun is that?
No, looks like it's just going to be our fighter here.
367 gets the job done. That's the second Fiend killed for JShydell. 4 more shards and bye-bye water. It's time to get into the skies.
You know, Classic Gamer, it's entirely possible that Skarcerer does not subscribe to the idea of carbonating bubbles.
Did we have a no action?
What we do have for sure is JShydell skipping Waterfall. I am a bit surprised.
Well, I mean, it's a reasonably out of the way run up for 5 checks. Getting access to the sky and being in close proximity to the checks for the bottle. If you want to go to Lefane to check if the fairy doesn't have the tail, because that's all you're really looking for at this point. You've got the defense sword, the roost stick would be an extra item, and of course the white shirt's already in hand.
I mean, it is more than that, though. It's 6 chests and the check on the robot itself, and considering that you only need 5 shards and you have exit, which will get you out there quickly, it's no more than a minute for checks that could be really helpful. I would have done that.
Fair play. It could go either way. Whatever the case may be, 54-23, JShydell in the air, heading to check what the fairies have, crashing into the mountains just to be sure he can get a parking spot, asserting his dominance over the mountains.
I mean, mashing Volcano probably is the other play that you make here if you don't go Waterfall. You have so many checks to make for 3. And now you have your tail.
Now, with the tail going into the Cardia Isles, do you think he takes the check on at least 2 of the 3 Cardia Isles for chests? Or do you think he goes, I'm thinking Volcano from here? Because, as you said, a lot of chests to check, as well as the Agamas if he wants to take anything other than a walking grind.
I feel like you make all the Cardia checks here, just because if you manage to find 3 shards, all you have to do is just rush carry.
So far, there's the cube. Hey, the last loose item has been found. It was floater locked behind the canoe that was behind the Oxale that was in Mirage.
Which the chime was in Marshlox.
Any missing item actions have been answered.
Gonna get a
We'll-
56-minute promotion here.
Not seeing a sub-hour run, but we have not been seeing many. In fact, I would think we only had one sub-hour run in the entirety of the play-ins, or the qualifiers.
No, we had a few at the end there. The last two seeds, the async, and the final qualifier. Final qualifier had one. The async had 5 or 6, if I remember correctly.
Well, dang. And there we go. We see the armor shuffle going on, getting the correct gear on the correct party members. Interesting that it's that opal +4 on the thief, but yeah, I can dig it. And of course, equipping the power bonk to that knight for armor and for the buffs.
I would
Looks
say
like
that is a good question, Classic Gamer. You might want to head back there, and that would be a lot of experience for you to help you feel better about your levels.
It is a quick run in to get. You've got the cube. In fact, JShydell probably is just going to go straight into Sky either way, because, well, there's a lot of experience you can get from the walk, plus the shards you can find in the chests. I'm shocked he's not taking that fight. It may only have been one Tyro, but hey, what do you know?
No, skipping the Warmack.
Skipping the Warmack and adjusting his encounters by resetting out. Meanwhile, Skarcerer is on the very gray and purple-ish Kraken. Using Temper Casts on that fighter, 409 damage, getting some good work, and the Harm 2 cast, 72 damage. It's chip damage, but it makes a difference. Quad X unaffected, Herm 2 coming back in, 57 damage. There's a hit on that poisoned thief now, also paralyzed still.
And an unrunnable Blue D for JShydell's Rebels.
Hey, it's a good experience if you can survive the hits. Speaking of, Skarcerer done with the fight. That is his one and only orb lit so far as he exited out of the Lich fight. Meanwhile, JShydell, cube in hand, heads up into the sky. And is going straight to Tia because he doesn't care about any out-of-the-way checks.
Does need one shard after this. I'm wondering if he's going to check Sky 3 here. See if he can pluck one before heading on to finish Tia to get the last 4.
True, it's a little spread out for the 3 rooms, but they are dense with 14 chests on this one floor alone.
Nothing in those 4. There it is. There it is.
And that is effectively Tia into go mode.
At level 16, so that's a little cause for caution there.
JShydell noticing and then leaving the Warmech that's walking around in the Sky Maze. Doesn't want to take that fight if there's no Masa as an incentive. Meanwhile, Skarcerer popping the floater, heading into the air just past 5930. And apparently taking the very, very long route to Gaia. It is a very short jaunt down, and he went all the way up and around. Ghost Pirates, I know, I was thinking he was going to go Ice Cave too. It would have been interesting. But instead, it was just suboptimal routing to get the tail. Will we see a Warmech that's just randomly walking around on the Bridge of Destiny? I mean, we've already seen the Warmech that exists in Mirage and in Sky already.
I would find that quite funny. He skips the Warmech in... Well, it's not going to happen, but if he'd skip the Warmech in the first floor, skips the Warmech in Sky 4, and then gets the Warmech on the bridge, like, no, you're not going to run from me. We're fighting.
Well, he's not going to run from from Tia. Gets the fast cast selected, goes with the swings, 4 hits, 103. Hey, damage poison. How nice is that? Does a lot of damage. 3 health for that black mage. Stands up, gets the cast done, so its job is, I mean, it still could survive, but it's not gonna. Bane sword. Do we get the Bane? No, we don't get the Bane. Quad X gonna not get the job done. Not nearly enough damage done. 108 off that 7 hits, and bye-bye black mage. Swings 318 off of 7 hits. That knight with that X-Gal doing good work. 300 more damage, going in with the swing, 237. What do you know, Tia 2 was actually not that thick. That is shards and go. JShydell just needs to pick up that loot in Elfland, and he is good to go. Although I would love to see him life up, house up, and go in and take that fight for the Massa.
No, not gonna do it.
I would say coward, but he's so much better at this game than me, I would just feel bad.
The fans want it, JShydell. The fans want it.
The robot chicken demands it. Interesting, he's going back to get level 2 magic and possibly extra pro rings. I think he only needs 1 or 2, but...
Not really sure why you'd be getting exit for your knight there, but...
he was checking and found, oh wait, life is at level 2 and 3. Level 2, life 2, that is knight learnable, as well as cure 4, because the knight can learn the same spells at level 2 that the, or level 3 that the red mage can in vanilla.
So in the same place, but JShydell has done quite a bit more.
Stocking up on all the houses, because why not? I'm assuming he's prepped for a possible grind.
Oh, Jay, no.
He forgot the loot. Are we going to see a loot plate bonk?
Oh, I called it. As I said, you see it early on and you don't get it, you might forget about it.
Meanwhile, Skarcerer is on his way into Volcano.
Wait, did he get loot? Loot was in the inventory. Okay. I didn't see him purchase it.
Oh well, we'll know when and if he bonks. At the rate at which these runners menu, it's hard to see sometimes. Even if it's visible for them, the stream doesn't necessarily get every frame. It's always fun to watch someone streaming an old game who doesn't have interlacing properly rendered or de-interlaced, and you see every other frame of animation. It just looks weird. Ooh, Ghastly 3-pack, definitely worth taking for the experience. You can use some spell casts, exit out, save up, save the experience, if you feel like you need it. And a Sunsword +4, that's a really nice piece of equipment to have.
Yep, going the Volcano route, needing 6/5 shards now.
And JShydell is sticking on the floor, trying to get more encounters. If you can find a couple more of those Ghastly packs, that is some of the juiciest and, at this point, relatively easy armor or experience to get. Black Shirt +4, another sweet piece of gear, and totally equipable again to that red mage. Those bad men doing some bad things to that black mage, 40 hit points down and dead. Meanwhile, Skarcerer saved out and right down Volcano, going towards the Agma floor.
Nothing good happens when you fight 7 Batman.
These Batmen are the Batmen who laugh. They have no compulsion against killing. Or maybe they're the the Flashpoint Batman, who's actually Bruce Wayne's dad. Hey, Katana +4 out of Volcano, or Agama Floor Chest 1. That is a huge piece of kit, better than that Vorpal for sure. That's an X-Cal and a Katana equipped for the Knight and the Ninja, with the Vorpal as a backup, a crit weapon for the Knight. So Skarcerer is actually pretty well set for weapons. He just keeps finding more. Meanwhile, JShydell finds another Ghastly pack, this time 4. I think in Vanilla, the 4 Ghastly pack actually overflows or breaks the experience gains.
Interesting that Skarcerer skips the 5-pack here in Volcano 4. You're still looking for shards. You're not going to get enough off of carry.
Skips that 5-pack and has to check the link chest because of it. Finds nothing. Gets another shard. That's I think either 1 off of carry being the go mode.
Yeah, and 2 more checks.
Meanwhile, JShydell exited out and saved after those grinds and moves on. And Ghost Pirates confirming that there is indeed a loot in JShydell's inventory. All props to our tracker doing a great job keeping us up to date. Keeping us abreast of the situation for our runners.
And a thanks to chat for noticing where we all unfortunately missed it.
It helps having so many community members in here just being all hyped about it. We love you all. Skarcerer took a few fights on the Agma tiles and is now on his way down to check the red D chest. If it's a shard, he is in go mode with this fight on carry. These Agmas did not roll that thin, over 400 hit points. And the red Ds were under 500, 3,000 experience across the board.
Oh.
There's the shard, that is go.
That is a very nice bailout for Skarcerer.
Still only sub-level 20, but he's going to be into Toph at some point.
We are getting to a point where a wipe for JShydell does start to make this increasingly interesting, especially with that ninja having the katana.
This is very true. Having those higher hits with higher probability of crit can make a solid difference. Although I believe, does JShydell have the Vorpal equipped to his ninja, or does he have another sword equipped?
I believe it's the Vorpal.
Leaves the Mud and Rock Golem pack, goes straight on to the Speed Bump Mark II. Will the Speed Bump have vanilla teeth? Will we see first turn nuke?
Ooh, a nice poisonous fire carry.
Lit Tube is not nuke. We are going to see a fairly fast Speed Bump Mark II. And there you go. Speed Bump Mark II is dead, as Carry gets killed for Skarcerer, putting him in Shard Go mode.
Not before he says hi to some scorpions just outside the airship.
Now, I personally love that pack, the Agamas and Red Giants. It can make for a good walking grind pack if you still need some levels. But JShydell, feeling confident, is going to skip those and go straight for speed and power. Speed in this case. Of course, I mentioned it because Lord Fizzlebeef himself is in chat saying, "Jay, remember your training."
And we're gonna have Skarcerer entering here.
Carry 2, lighting up Fire 3, not getting much damage out of that swing. 4 hits, 177. The X-Cal doing more damage, 400 plus damage on that for 4 hits. Checking the Quad-Ass X-Cast, getting the kill. That is 2 refights down onto the seafloor.
These are the fights you worry about the most, though.
Skarcerer actually passing up on a 2 Ghastly pack. I mean, they looked like zombie Ds, but they were way more valuable if he had taken them. I'm gonna check the validation checks, find some money, and find some money. No third ribbon, unfortunately.
Oh, that'll make for a nice retirement fun once you kill Chaos.
1 minute 10:35 for Skarcerer in Topher. Both runners have made it to the final gauntlet. JShydell, meanwhile, has pulled up to the fight, gets a fast cast on that ninja, has the ninja at the front, fast cast out the red wizard.
Ooh.
Bane takes out the ninja and the black mage. He did pick up life on that knight, and he has it on the red mage, so there is totally a chance of making out of this. If Kraken doesn't hit so hard, that's 200 damage in that one hit, 500 snapping back though. Ice 3 doing about 60 damage per party member, 5 hits, 390, and there is Kraken 2 done. Life 2 coming out, gonna get both party members back up, heal up that knight, and move on to Tia 2.
Definitely a scary Kraken there. If you hit the knight a little harder, then you're in trouble, but able to get through.
Skarcerer
4 unrunnable worms. Everybody's favorite.
Well, if he needed the experience, here's where he's going to get some extra experience. As JShydell takes on those worms, Skarcerer is onto the earth floor. He could catch up. If he can muster up the skill and the strength and the courage and the will.
Probably also needs some gumption at this point.
I was trying to figure out a pun way to continue with that, you know, something that kraut or just couldn't keep up the hot dog puns. Picking up level 25 across the board. Meanwhile, Blizzard coming out on Skarcerer from Lich. Lich dies though very fast. Be bumped down. JShydell healing back up after those worms did some damage to him, as Skarcerer does the same.
Yeah, I do believe Saracen was making a reference to some wonderful unrunnable nuke worms that cost hate quite a bit in a race some time ago.
Tia 2 fight incoming. Got swing and swing, 7 hits for 145. That is a good swing from the ninja, but not for damage needed. Gonna power bonk and temper the knight. Double temper on and power bonk. No added evasion stacks, I believe, so this is a risk. Hey, 300 plus damage, that's a good swing from the ninja. And hey, early cure 4. You see it, but it's early.
You're glad you don't see that on Chaos.
Quad X snapped back. Tia tries it on the ninja, doesn't get a hit. 1,000 damage out of that hit from that knight, doing all the damage. 240 from the ninja. It's chip damage comparatively, but it's still a lot. Gonna try the Quad X if it matters. It did not. That is a knight swing. That is a Tia down, and JShydell is ready to make his way to Chaos.
All party members alive, still got plenty of spell slots, so you're feeling pretty good at this point.
And as he took on the Tia fight, Skarcerer made it through the fight against Carry 2. Kraken coming up for Skarcerer as JShydell is facing up against Chaos, choosing to put the Ablative Black Mage with the Ninja and the Knight in slots 3 and 4. Gonna put the Vorpal on the Knight, give it higher probability of crit. Interesting that he hasn't worked on something to do with that defense sword, but I guess he's not going to try doing evasion stacks with the Roost Cast.
Skarcerer finding Kraken 2, Kraken finding one of the life casting mages, Kraken doing what Kraken does.
Speaking of, he does go with the defense sword, just not in slot 1. Gets that cast for extra evasion. Hey, Chaos going after the red mage for JShydell. Going with the temper and swing mode. Not going to try and bonk 56.
Up. And the Vorpal, 5 for 280. And the red mage is down.
Gonna go ahead and use lock with the black mage, try and reduce the evasion that Chaos has, easier to hit. And wow, the black mage survived that hit. That could be very valuable. Still has some temper cast to give. Well, 1 temper cast to give. That could make a difference. And gonna defense sword up. Stop, paralyze the black mage before it has a chance to cast its temper and the ninja.
Ooh.
not quite man mode, but there is no resurrections that you would assume would come out at this point. But 7 hits, 300, 4 hits for 4. That ninja doing nothing but absorbing damage, sticking it to the hold A and pray. 7 hits, 225. Thankfully, it looks like Chaos is focusing on some low power sweepers so far. Dealt punches for 170, but 6 hits, 520. There's good, more than half of this health down, 500 more damage. No more ninja. This is a solo fight with the man mode knight. 300 damage. How many more swings will it take? Can he get the kill? He does.
Yes.
654. GG's in chat for JShydell with a racetime.gg time of 1 hour, 16 minutes, 36 seconds.
That was a little dicey at the end there. Just lucky that Chaos didn't have or wasn't using any rough spells, nuke, or anything like that, as we have JShydell joining us in chat, our winner of the race. GG, JShydell.
Yo.
So how happy were you to see Cure 4 come out early while you were still buffing against Tia?
Okay, so we all know it's 10 minutes delay. I was watching here as we go. It was absolutely amazing. And Fizzle, I was hoping that I would get the Knight to go first for 1,000 damage plus. That's why I did Quad X.
JShydell watching along and seeing Fizzle watching, seeing the critique and needing to explain himself immediately.
Pretty much.
Well, stepping back from from Toph,
yes.
How did you like the seed? How it started?
Honestly, it was not too bad. I realized about 30 minutes in that the imps had cremate. So if he saw it any time before I did, whoops, but I did not.
As we have Skarcerer on Chaos here, gonna go ahead and try and finish this seed out. We've got a nice, I don't know what you want to call that, what color palette that is. Anyway, stop hits the ninja.
Ooh. Honestly, it looks like Magneto. You got the crimson with the purple accents. Yeah, that's Magneto Chaos. Thankfully, he does not have the power of the magnetosphere of Earth to control.
Skarcerer casting some unseen level 4 spells there. We got Temper for the Knight. We got Temper for the Knight. Defense Sword for the Knight.
I didn't check, but did he swap off the Excal to the Vorpal for that Knight? Because he definitely has the Katana on the Ninja, who is currently tempering his fighter, or his Knight.
Well, we'll sure see here in a second. Nope.
7 hits 700, it's definitely doing the damage, and looks like Skarcerer's using those free casts of Saber and now fasting up the ninja to try and get into the action. 5 hits 551, Saber comes out, that's the last Saber cast. Fire 2 sweeping the board, not doing more than chip damage. Fast comes out, but saying chip damage, that's 170 hit points for that red mage and that ninja. If he doesn't heal, we know it's possible for Chaos to get the kill. 760 though, that's a lot of damage. 550, 85. Getting those sabers and the fast making a huge difference with that katana on that ninja.
One more round here of good swing should do it. No. In fact, Zap goes out and takes out the ninja.
Unfortunately, Cure 4 is not life, which would work in battle, but yeah. Thankfully, he's already got the steps up the Knight. Probably only 1 or 2 more hits with the pure buffness that is 8 hits, 811. GG's in chat for Skarcerer. Race time, GG time of 1 hour, 20 minutes, and 10 seconds.
All in all, fairly close.
Most definitely, especially with the slight out of orders, with Skarcerer going to Volcano, skipping out on the fight with, or skipping on the fight early in Earth, needing to get those 2 shards. This was definitely a close race.
So, JShydell, a question. Since we missed it on the stream. When did you get that loot?
I think it was after Marsh Locked.
Okay.
It was
That
one of the
would make
times I was
sense.
down there. Like, I'm here. I double checked my money. I had 6,000 or 60,000. I went, okay, whatever.
That was good because we did miss that, and it wasn't on the tracker at the time, so we thought that you were heading up there without it. But thankfully, you did get it, so no worries there. Anything at all about the seed feel like it wasn't that good for you, or did it just all feel pretty natural, just kind of a bit slower than usual?
I wanted tail earlier.
Okay.
Otherwise, nothing too crazy. Canoe was like way out of the way. I almost had the game done by then. But nah, pretty good seed.
No, that is a nice go to Marshlock for the chime to get the Oxy Ale out of Mirage to get the canoe out of sea. That's a lovely chain there. As
And
we
we're
have Skarcerer joining us. GG Skarcerer.
GG. Thank you.
Skarcer, starting off with this seed, what did you think of it? We noticed you took the white and the red, so you had access to some different spells.
The spells I needed. I like I saw the black mage and I figured those blessings make him a red mage with no sword. So I just took a red mage.
Honestly, that was the or one of the big differentiating factors is whether or not you had the white mage or the black mage between you two. I can't say it was bad either way.
I didn't really see anything in white magic that seemed like white locked.
I could assume you were jumping with joy when you saw Cure 4 and Life 2 were red learnable.
Oh,
Oh,
I
yeah,
was
that was
jumping for
great.
joy when I fighter learnable. Yeah. Or night learnable.
Scarcer, what did you think of the seed? Getting into Chaos, or getting into Topher, and but also going to Volcano, that was a choice.
I didn't want to go hunting for a cube. I figured I could loot enough shards. Or if I couldn't loot enough shards, I could go fight Lich.
A very fair point.
Did you have any thoughts of going after Lich the first time, or was it just a matter of you didn't feel like you had the resources?
Yeah, I didn't have the resources. I didn't have a good enough sword. I didn't have enough spell slots or good spells. I think I had to like my best spell option for that was just fire, which that would have been okay, but I'd rather not. Especially with how many unrunnables there were, or like in the whole seed, it felt like it was all unrunnables.
Yeah, that definitely didn't feel like the percentage given for how many unrunnables were there. That definitely cut into your guys' time.
And
Yeah,
remember in
those.
these flags that fire is actually fire 3.
Yeah, no, it's a good spell, but like it was when it's all you have. It
Yeah.
Lich can be mean. Lich can be meaner than we give him credit for.
Speaking of generally or potentially mean things, neither of you did go back to fight the War Mech in Mirage.
I forgot
Didn't need to.
that as well.
Had Excal +1, had a Vorpal +2, Power Bonk, and levels.
Well, you did take a bit of a grind there on third floor Topher. Did you think that maybe Warmech might have been better than that?
Nah, just take that. I meant to stop at 21, took one more, went to 23, and called it good.
It certainly worked out for you in the end.
And then got the extras on those worms at the end. Ugh.
Look, I know your pain.
Unrunnable error worms. Nothing bad ever happens with those.
They had Death Touch, I think.
Did they?
I think so. They obliterated by Red Mage, and it just said Slain. I didn't see a damage.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Well, that's the nice thing about the stream. It's modded, so you can just watch it back.
I'm gonna do that right now.
Because ribbons and pro ring shouldn't do anything to death touch, would they? Don't think so.
Well, they were missing everyone else, so it might have just been an armor problem.
Fair.
That actually brings up the gear. The weapons and armor all seem to roll up for you guys. That must have been pretty nice to see.
Yeah,
What
it
was
was
it?
nice. It was fun.
Plus
I wish
6
I had.
silver armor at the opening. Yeah.
Well then, you were right. Those were Death Touch worms.
Oof.
You dodged it, Shydell, very heavily.
I had 2 life casters. That's all I know. I had 2 life casters.
Yeah, I had enough. I wasn't worried when my red mage got bopped because, well, so much life cast. But
Mhm. Now I feel really dumb for forgetting I had Ice 3.
Would have been a good sweeper for those worms, that's for
It
sure.
would have been a great sweeper for those worms, but I knew I had the Zeus Gauntlet and I just went.
Well, how about we go ahead and wrap it up to final thoughts? JShydell, with the win, what are your words of the day?
Woo bear. Help.
You brought it on yourself.
Ugh. This this was a great race. I absolutely love running this. Like you're a fantastic opponent. After looking at over the weekend, it's been amazing. But oh my gosh, I am so scared.
yeah, I've been practicing with Wu, and that's why I don't feel bad about losing. And it was a close match. I think I knew where I lost my time, and it was a good race. GG.
It's gonna be fun to go back and see. Yeah, great job.
Thank you. Same to you.
And Skarcerer, any other words?
Um. Good luck.
Thanks.
Duskbloom, my co-commentator, any words?
Just want to say thanks to you, Fabian, for being my co-coms. It was a blast. Thank you to Goats Pirate for tracking. Thank you to Oslato for streaming this for us. Thanks to everybody for watching. It's always lovely to have you in the audience to be along with us as we enjoy a race here. JShydell, good luck with Rue Bear next time you race. And Skarcerer, good luck with the loser of Demon Frog versus Papa Dukes.
There really isn't an easy match in this entire tournament. Thankfully, it is double elimination. So, JShydell, even if Woobear does get the kill on you, you can always come back for revenge. Just look back at last year. There were plenty of like top 8 rematches. And with that, for myself, David Hawk, Dusk Plume, Oslato, our restreamer, Skarcer, sorry, Ghost Pirates, our tracker. Thank you, JShydell. Thank you, Skarcer, for the great show and run. For anyone who is new to the community, who just watched and found themselves entranced by the runs, feel free to go to FinalFantasyRandomizer.com. There you will find not just the randomizer, but links to the Discord where you can join in and chat with other people in the community. We are very happy to let them join up, not just into our random races, but there is the Duckling program that will start after this tournament ends, where new runners can join up, get coaching from our experienced runners in the community, run their own practice seeds with different flag sets, including this flag set, no doubt, and then eventually run in the Duckling Derby, a bracketed race just for the Ducklings to see who becomes the Duckling Dawn of the year 2024. With that, I bid you a great adieu. Have a good evening.